You ever have one of those mornings where you think you're just going to mind your own business, do a little yard work, and suddenly you've declared World War III without even knowing it? Yeah, that's basically how the saga of me versus Eleanor Ainsworth, Primrose Lane's self-appointed guardian and queen of the HOA, got started. All I wanted was to clean my damn driveway. Instead, I set off a chain reaction that would drag in cops, lawyers, jackhammers, and the collective willpower of an entire neighborhood. Sometimes I look back and wonder if maybe I should have just stayed inside with my wife Simone, listening to her latest true crime podcast, but you know what they say, hindsight's 2020. It all began on a Saturday morning in late May, the kind of morning that almost makes you forget you're living in a place with an HOA. The air was warm but not unbearable. Birds were practically writing symphonies in the trees, and I was out there in my black t-shirt and shorts ready to baptize our driveway with the holy water of 2,000 psi. The house was new to us, a two-story colonial in Oak Haven Estates. Simone's dream, honestly. And after a few years of hard work, it felt like we'd finally arrived. The driveway, though, looked like it hadn't been cleaned since Bush Sr. was in office. Oil spots, mysterious stains, and enough grime that I half expected to find the fossilized remains of a garden gnome. 20 minutes into the power washing, I was in the zone, just me and the rhythmic hiss of the water, when I got that prickly feeling like you're being watched. I looked up, and sure enough, there was Eleanor Ainsworth standing on the edge of her immaculately manicured lawn, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She looked like she'd stepped out of a casting call for angry suburban matriarch, helmet, blonde hair, severe black blazer, and those painted red toenails peeking out of sandals, practically tapping out Morse code for "you don't belong here." "Excuse me," she called out, voice sharp enough to cut through concrete. I killed the power washer and tried to muster a friendly smile. "Morning, Eleanor, just doing some spring cleaning." She wrinkled her nose like I'd tracked in sewage. "It's 9:30 on a Saturday. Some of us appreciate a little peace and quiet." I glanced at my phone. "I'm pretty sure city ordinance says I'm good to go after 8 a.m., Eleanor. Just trying to get this done before it gets hot." She eyed my shorts, my boots, the whole scene with a kind of disgust you usually reserve for telemarketers or people who talk during movies. She wagged her finger at my power washer, declaring, "That's excessively loud and the runoff's probably full of chemicals. You're polluting the street." I glanced at the water, just dirty water, no chemicals, no nothing. "It's just water, Eleanor. And it's my driveway." But she doubled down, stepping right up to the invisible property line, pointing and getting louder. "People like you move in and think you can do whatever you want with no regard for established residents." And that right there, the emphasis on people like you, that's when my hackles went up. I'm a black man. And let's just say Simone and I brought the average melanin count on Primrose Lane way up. "People like me who take care of their property?" I asked, keeping my voice level. Eleanor's face flushed red. "It's about common decency, something you clearly know nothing about. I'm warning you, turn off that machine or I'll be forced to take further action. I swear, the sheer gall of this woman. With all due respect, Eleanor, I'm going to finish cleaning my driveway. Give me an hour and you can have all the peace you want." That was apparently the wrong answer, because she pulled out her phone and started dialing 911 right in front of me. "You're really calling the cops over a power washer?" I said, halfway between laughing and crying. "You're threatening me," she shrieked, waving her phone in the air like a weapon. "Operator, yes, I need to report a disturbance. A very aggressive individual. Yes, he's threatening me." The police showed up about 15 minutes later. 2 officers. Miller Young and Eager, and Davis, the kind of veteran who's seen every flavor of neighborhood squabble. Eleanor rushed at them like a contestant on The Price is Right, unloading a tirade about how I was verbally abusive, aggressive, and creating a public nuisance. I just stood there, power washer in hand, wondering if I'd wandered onto the set of a reality show called Suburban Meltdown. Officer Davis listened, looked at my half-clean driveway, and finally said, "Ma'am, your neighbor's within his rights. There's no noise violation, no hazardous materials, and no indication of aggression." Eleanor, not getting the answer she wanted, started shouting about riffraff and how her taxes paid their salaries. That's when the dog whistle became a foghorn, and both officers' patience was clearly wearing thin. "Miss Ainsworth," Officer Davis said, "I suggest you go inside and let your neighbor finish his yard work." Eleanor glared at all of us, declared, "You haven't heard the last of this," and stomped back to her house, slamming the door so hard the porch light rattled. Simone came out eyes wide. Did I just see the cops here? I gave her the rundown. She shook her head. That woman's a walking, talking red flag. I finished the driveway, adrenaline still running, the satisfaction of clean concrete undercut by a new unease. I thought maybe, just maybe, that would be the end of it. I was very, very wrong. Monday morning, I'm on a Zoom call for work when I hear a sound so loud and out of place, I think a transformer's blown. Chunk, chunk, chunk. I peek out the window, and there's Eleanor goggles, mask gloves, jackhammering a trench right down the middle of my brand new driveway. I bolted outside, dialing 911 as I went. Eleanor, what in the Sam Hill are you doing? She didn't even flinch, just yelled, making improvements. This driveway was an eyesore. I'm helping. My brain just shut down for a second. This was demolition derby crazy. The cops came again. This time, Officer Davis was joined by Officer Benjamin. Davis stared at the gaping wounds in my driveway, then at Eleanor, and finally asked, "Are you telling me you rented a jackhammer to deliberately damage Mr. Cooper's property?" Eleanor, with the straightest face, replied, "Heavens, no. I'm improving it. Property values, you know." The officers weren't buying it. Davis said, "That's vandalism, ma'am. Malicious destruction of property." Simone pulled up, saw the carnage, and just about lost it. By jackhammering our driveway, she shouted. Davis finally cuffed Eleanor, reading her rights as she sputtered about discrimination and harassment. With Eleanor in the back of a squad car, Simone and I stared at our wrecked driveway. The damage was real deep gouges, ruined concrete, the whole 9 yards. The police recommended a restraining order. I called our insurance. She did what with a what now, the agent said. Even the contractors who came to give quotes were amazed. A little old lady jackhammered your driveway out of spite. That's a new one. One guy named Sal laughed and said, "If you're gonna rebuild, might as well upgrade, turn her crazy into your castle." And that's exactly what I did. I widened the driveway, added a fancy border, and made it the envy of the block. But it wasn't just about repairs. I called a lawyer, Ms. Sharma Sharp, as a tack. "Mr. Cooper, this is egregious," she said. We fast-tracked a restraining order and filed a civil suit for damages. Meanwhile, I started digging into Eleanor's history with the HOA. Turns out she'd been a one-woman complaint factory for years, lawn lengths, Christmas lights, skateboards, you name it. And yet her own property wasn't quite up to snuff. Simone found a stretch of chain-link fence, unapproved material, plus some overgrown shrubs creeping onto the public path. We filed official complaints citing every clause and subparagraph, polite but firm. The HOA, embarrassed by the whole jackhammer incident, finally started enforcing their rules on Eleanor for once. Sal's crew rebuilt the driveway loud and glorious. I got a surveyor to check the property line and found out part of Eleanor's prize-winning flower bed actually encroached on my land. You better believe I put up a beautiful low stone wall right on the new line, the Great Wall of Zachary, Simone called it. We transplanted Eleanor's flowers onto our side, replanted her alias in the backyard, and made the place even nicer than before. Eleanor, meanwhile, was unraveling. She'd pace her property, mutter under her breath, sometimes deposit piles of garden clippings on my side, caught on camera every time. She adjusted her sprinklers to soak my flowers, poisoned my marigolds with a mystery spray in the dead of night, and once again got caught on camera. At this point, the whole neighborhood was in on it. The Primrose Protectorate, our informal neighborhood watch, shared footage, supported us, and made it clear that Eleanor's reign of terror was over. The final straw. The DA took her poisoning seriously. Eleanor's lawyer, realizing she was cornered, offered a deal. She'd sell her house and move away if we agreed not to pursue further criminal charges. Peace for Primrose Lane, at last. The neighbors threw a little party, freedom from Eleanor cake and all. The new family who moved in, friendly, welcoming, brought a golden retriever and a sense of calm. The difference was night and day. Now when I fire up my power washer, it's just the sound of a man cleaning his driveway. No drama, no curtain twitching. Simone and I finally have the quiet, happy suburban life we dreamed of. As for Eleanor Ainsworth, wherever she is, I hope she's learned something about picking the right battles. Revenge. I've learned doesn't have to be loud or violent. Sometimes it's as simple as standing your ground, using the rules, and letting your adversary self-destruct. Primrose Lane is peaceful again, the flowers are blooming, and my driveway has never looked better. So what do you think? Was I right to stand up to Eleanor, or did I go too far? Ever dealt with a neighbor from hell? Drop your stories in the comments. I want to hear all about it. And hey, if you enjoyed this wild ride, share it with a friend who's got an HOA horror story of their own. Because sometimes the sweetest revenge is a clean driveway and the quiet knowledge that you did it your way.